Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Angustus Analyzes. This episode I will be analyzing Lucian. With his recent new buffs, I think Lucian is a very good champion, and I will be going over how he fares other champions, or how his stats compare. So first of all, mana regen. His mana regen is fairly high. I'm looking at all the stats right now, and Jinx has the highest mana regen per level, but her base mana regen seems to be very low, but Lucian's mana regen 7 per 5, I believe this is measured on, with 0.7 scaling is pretty good. I really like the buffs on Lucian, and let's see his health. His health compared to other champions. I did an analysis of Jinx earlier, so I've already memorized most of the bases, but 390 base is pretty. It's on the medium to higher end. Jinx's base health is really high. So other champions' base health not very high, but Lucian pretty high, which helps him trade a little better. I think his flat AD is among one of the lowest. I think Kog'Maw is very low as well. Twitch 49, Varus 46. Okay, so pretty. He's on the lower end of the attack damage rate compared to some of the most popular AD carries right now. So his attack damage is fairly low, but that's justified due to his light slinger, which will double hit. If his base were any higher, his level 1 would be way too strong. So his health regen, pretty meh. It's not something we have to care about on AD carry. They're generally the same, I believe. Mana, 230 is medium. It's not too high, not too low, it's not too small either. Israel has a pretty big mana pool. I actually think the highest mana pool is either Corki, Varus. Yeah, Varus has a really high mana pool, so does Kog'Maw. So his mana pool is decent. His mana per level is also fair. It's 41 per level, not too bad. 550, decent. Attack speed per level 636. I mean 638. It's medium, not as high as some other champions, but actually these champions are really good, have really good base attack speed, but his attack speed is moderate. It's in between, not too bad, not too good. Armor is pretty much the same. Movement speed 330. Actually, I didn't know that. 330 is actually vein status as far as Twitch Kog'Maw. So 330 is pretty good. It's actually on the higher end. It's above the base 5 more than the most average 325. So let's go over his abilities. So Lucian, overall his stats, he looks like his mana is really good. It looks like it helps his ability harass, which is kind of what he needed. His mana pool is good as well. His HP and his HP per level is average, and his HP is medium, about average as well. A little higher than most, I think. And all his other stats are okay. Attack damage is a little on a lower spectrum, but that's justified, like I said earlier, due to his passive. So Light Slinger, whenever he activates ability, he double procs, he double autos, except the second auto does has half the damage, half AD, but he applies all on hit effects. I think this really means that he can get a lot of sustain due to the amount of, but on minions he does full damage, which means if running lifesteal, as most ADs do, Lucian has a lot of sustain just from using abilities. If you use an ability to harass somebody, or even if you miss, you can proc the lifesteal off of on a minion, and you'll heal for a lot more. So when you're trying to sustain back up, you should probably hit a lot more minions. I can see that lifesteal, definitely run lifesteal on this guy. Piercing Light is Q. So looking at the range, it's 550. His regular auto attack range, but the effective range is 1,000, I believe. In a 1100 unit line. So this is a really long skill shot. Well, it's not really a skill shot, but like a trick shot. So minion damage is lessened because Lucian would just push too hard, but he pushes decently, and the cooldown isn't very long either. It's not too bad. 5 seconds, 9 seconds. It's not too bad. The mana costs are okay. I think compared to Caitlyn, his mana costs are lower, so cooldown is about the same. Caitlyn costs 90 mana at level 5 and 80 mana at level 5, so not too bad. Corki's Phosphorus Bomb has a fat mana cost, so let's not even compare the two because they're vastly different. But the base damage on Corki's thing is high, so Lucian's base damage is decent. Base damage is about average, but the scaling is what it really shines to me. So the scaling, similar to Vayne's Tumble, scales with level, except it goes as far as 120% of his AD, bonus AD at level 5. Come on top of his base damage, that's really high base damage on his Q. And the fact that you can, after, it's really, it can, if once you get good at this skill, I can see that it's going to be very hard to dodge it, as not many people play Lucian at the moment. They won't really know how to play around this fact. I think actually this will make him really lane dominant due to the fact that his mana costs are low on his piercing light, and his mana regen and mana pool are decent, or his mana regen's high on the higher spectrum, and his mana is fair. So using this ability, if you can use it correctly, you can harass, and there'll be almost no, your enemies have to be really worried about last hitting if you use this ability to shoot them, if you can learn to use it correctly or well enough. Really good ability. And then this is a decent, 1000 range is alright, the explosion is really good, and then the movement speed is decent, so this is probably going to max out last, Q definitely max out first, and then E, he dashes short range. I believe I believe this is the same distance as Graves' dash. And then the cooldown is alright, and it costs less mana, costs less and less mana as you go on. And it moves slows, which is good for escapes. And you can it also resets when you use your ultimate. So that's probably one of the most debated skills, or one of the most controversial skills about him is his ultimate. Physical damage per shot. So at level 1 you can only fire, I believe, like 17 shots. The max you can get is 26, but no one has the stats for that. So it does 40 damage per shot. You fire 17 shots, and so 17, 40, well, it's 10, 40, 400, 70, 7 times 40 is, math, hard, 28, no, is that 28? I'll just say it's 28, so 28, 200, so you can do 600, 700 damage with the ultimate, not calculating armor, if you land all shots, but probably won't. So it scales, well, the per shot ratio is alright. Let's just ignore the AP, but the per shot AD ratio is very good, or not very good, but it's not bad. But the total bonus, the total 80 damage, or 80 scaling is really good. And this is a decent ultimate, but I think what I really like to do, playing a few games of Lucian, what I really like to do is I like to get Brutalizer because of his high base damages, and then I like to go into Black Cleaver, but after finishing my Bloodthirster. But he has really good AD ratios, and his Slinger allows him to lifesteal, so I think that does really well. Bloodthirster gives him a lot of dueling potential, and after getting Black Cleaver, your ultimate does a lot of damage. From using it, your ultimate does a lot of damage. So you have the shred, so you're almost, if someone tanks it, they're gonna get shredded. If someone doesn't tank it, or if you hit a squishy with it, they're gonna melt. And so again, we're talking about Trinity Force, since Trinity Force is a very popular item right now. I think Lucian does alright with Trinity Force. He uses all the stats really well. The double auto or the spell blade does really well, and he procs the rage on Phage really well, and the ultimate scales with AD and AP, so it does alright, and attack speed as well, because right here it says scales attack speed. So this ultimate looks like it scales really well with levels due to the AD and the attack speed. And this ultimate scales really well with items in general that Lucian would get, or AD carries would get. So AD and attack speed, this scales really well. I think it'll almost always be relevant. And due to the double scaling on attack speed and AD, it'll almost always outdamage your auto attacks. Except for the fact that it can't crit. But other than that. So then, let's see. Yep, maxing Q first, maxing E second, and then ultimate I think is good. And I would go Brutalizer, Bloodthirster into let's say Last Whisper. No, not Last Whisper, but something else. I don't know. At the moment, maybe Trinity Force. Trinity Force seems like a decent item to round this off. And so E is really good for resetting. I think Lucian can be one of the most dominant lane champions at the moment due to the fact that there's no cooldown on his passive. Due to the fact that there's no cooldown on his passive, it means you can just reset it over and over. If you use your E and then double auto attack them into a piercing light and then another double auto attack, you may or may not use this. The base damage on this is okay. It's not very great. It's okay, but the ratio is alright. But in any case, this is an okay ability. But resetting the passive 3 times in a full combo, you can out-trade a lot of champions. And I think Lucian does really well with champions such as Leona, Thresh, Nami, Janna, and Lulu. And Lulu, Janna, and Nami will really utilize the Light Slinger passive due to the fact that he can get his double auto off. He can really make a lot of use out of the on-hit effects or the bonus 80 Janna shield gives him. I think that that Nami is a really good pick due to the fact that her ultimate slows for quite a bit. Lucian can get off a really long duration, a lot of shots off his ultimate. And the fact that she also gives sustain to Lucian, she also gives a CC, and she also gives the bubble shot thing that his trades will be really strong. And the same with Lulu and Janna. I think that with the Janna shield, he could really hit like a truck with this ability. Just putting the shield on right before the piercing light goes off. If it hits an enemy, it's gonna hurt really, really hard. And Thresh, due to the CC that he can utilize with Lucian, this is a pretty good escape ability, and the cooldown is not very. The cooldown, in my opinion, is okay. This ability, you max last, is just kind of used for hitting guys. The mana cost doesn't change at all, which I really like. It means that you can just get it level 1, and it's almost just as good because it doesn't scale cooldown very well. It's almost just as good throughout the entire game, as the movement speed is flat. And so definitely Q, then E, and then culling whenever you can. So definitely I think Brutalize is a really good item, Black Cleaver is a really good item, Bloodthirst is a really good item. I don't think Blade of Rune King is that great on him, due to the fact that Blade of Rune King, you're just considering banking off of the double auto. But I think that his abilities are really good, so it seems like the playstyle he has is that he just uses an ability in between auto attacks to reset it, the auto attack, the passive, which I think is going to give him a lot of trade potential combined with the right support. So that's why I think he can be really dominant, just the fact that they're almost, unless he gets hit by a lot of abilities, there's a lot of things you do with Lucian to out-trade in other AD carry. For example, if you hit them with a piercing light, and then due to his a little higher than average movement speed, he can kind of follow up with a double auto afterwards, and then use Relenting Pursuit to dodge skill shots perhaps, to double auto again, and so his chase potential is really strong, his trade potential is overall really strong. And I think in general, Lucian's just a really strong champion right now with the buffs that he received, although I do think he's going to get outshined by Jinx due to the fact that she came out just after him, and he wasn't very popular before the buffs that he received. And so I think Jinx is probably going to outshine him, but I think definitely Jinx's strengths are in the mid game, whereas Lucian's strength seems to be in the laning phase. His single target damage is also very massive as well to close targets, and his ultimate's actually, his ultimate I really like. I've dreamt of this ultimate for over a year. I've literally dreamt of this exact ultimate where you just go and just gun down people with a barrage of bullets. So I really like this champion. I really like his theme. I really like his ultimate. His kit works together well. His numbers are really good. I think Lucian is going to be a dominant lane champion once people learn to play him. I think he would even outlane Caitlyn at a certain point. His numbers are a little better. His abilities are a little better than Caitlyn, but Caitlyn does have a lot of range on him. But Light Slinger has a lot of range on it. I mean, Piercing Light has a lot of range on it as well. And Caitlyn can't really trade as well with the double passive. but unless she gets a headshot, she can kind of even out the trade. But overall, I really like Lucian. I'm probably be playing him more, and we'll see how that goes. I think Lucian's really strong right now, and we'll see what other professionals say about him. Thanks for watching.